Fire Eyes Media.
I bet our listeners saw the title of today's episode and said, wait, they're talking about current headlines this week?
I mean, honestly, we're just as surprised. We've had intentions of putting out weekly true crime headline recaps, but it's hard to stay on top of current events, much less talk about them, when we're also being full-time moms, working, managing households, and all the chaos that ensues with everything that I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm constantly saying, hey, Amber, let's start doing weekly headline episodes. And the universe is like, ha, that's a cute idea. Here's some more personal drama to deal with for the next several weeks. Good luck doing anything podcast related.
My God, you're not wrong. But here we are, finally talking about some current true crime headlines. One of which is an update about Kouri Richins, the woman who wrote a children's book about grief after murdering her husband.
Yeah, that chick. We'll also be discussing a former American Idol contestant who was charged with his wife's murder, a cross-state shooting spree in Florida, a cold case from 1982 that has finally been solved, and more. But before we get into it, we have a request.
If you've been listening to us for a while, or even if you're brand new and like what you hear, can you please leave us a 5-star rating and a nice review wherever you're listening? We appreciate the positive feedback, and it helps the podcast apps discover our little corner of chaos.
And to be totally honest, we rarely get reviews, and it makes us sad. So it would mean so much to us to get your feedback in the form of reviews. We will share them on the podcast and socials. So if you want to hear your name on the podcast, you know what to do. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get into it.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Gina.
And this is Weird True Crime, Headlines Edition.
So it's been a while since we've heard about Kouri Richins. For those of you who might not know who this gem of a human is, she's a 35-year-old mother of 3 from a town outside of Park City, Utah, who helped her sons manage the sudden loss of their father by publishing a book called Are You With Me in 2023.
Oh, it sounds so sweet.
I know.
She promoted the book on a local news station and, of course, people began praising her for helping children understand and process the death of a parent. Well, just a few weeks after her book was published, she was arrested and charged with murder.
Who did Kouri allegedly murder? Eric Richins, her husband and the father of her children. According to prosecutors, Richins killed Eric in March of 2022 by putting fentanyl in a cocktail she made for him. Her trial began on Monday, February 23rd.
Richins faces close to 3 dozen counts, including aggravated murder, attempted murder, forgery, mortgage fraud, and insurance fraud. She pleaded not guilty. According to prosecutors, Richins killed her husband for financial gain because she was in severe debt and wanted to move on with her new man. That book she wrote in memory of her late husband has now become a tool for the prosecution.
Quite ironic, I must say. And the night Eric died, Richins called 911 and said she found him cold to the touch at the foot of their bed. According to the medical examiner, Eric had 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in his system.
And that wasn't even the first time Richins tried to kill him. On Valentine's Day. Yeah, Valentine's Day. You know, the holiday of love. Just a month before his death, Eric shared with friends that he broke out in hives and blacked out after taking one bite from a sandwich that Richins gave him. According to the charging documents, Richins bought the sandwich the same week she purchased fentanyl pills from their housekeeper.
Eric told his friend that he injected himself with his son's EpiPen and chugged Benadryl. After he woke up from a deep sleep, he called this friend and told him that he thought his wife tried to kill him. The day after this attempted poisoning, Richins texted her alleged boyfriend, quote, "If he could just go away, life would be so perfect," end quote.
Yep. So she was having an affair and planning a life with another man. Can't have that pesky husband getting in the way or anything.
No, like that's awful. How dare you, husband? Apparently, Richins' defense attorneys, Wendy Lewis, Kathy Nestor, and Alex Ramos, are confident the jury will rule in her favor after hearing her side of the story. According to the defense, quote, "What the public has been told bears little resemblance to the truth," end quote.
Quite honestly, I am so very curious to hear what the defense has to say that could sway anyone in this woman's favor.
Yeah.
The prosecution's witnesses include the friend that Eric called the night he almost died after eating that sandwich, and Carmen Lauber, the housekeeper who claims to have sold Richins fentanyl.
According to AP News, Lauber told police that she gave Richins the fentanyl a couple of days before Valentine's Day. Richins then allegedly told the housekeeper the fentanyl wasn't strong enough and asked her to bring her something stronger.
The defense argues that Lauber, the housekeeper, never gave Richins fentanyl and was motivated to lie for legal protection. It's important to note that Lauber isn't being charged in connection with the case and was granted immunity.
I won't lie, that seems very fishy to me. According to the AP News article, fentanyl was not found in the Richins' home, and the housekeeper's dealer said he was in jail and detoxing from drug use when he told detectives in 2023 that he sold Lauber fentanyl. He said in an affidavit that he only sold Lauber OxyContin.
Just because no fentanyl was found in the home doesn't mean it was never there.
100%. Eric died in his home after drinking something Richins made him, and fentanyl was found in his system. There's no way around that.
It's pretty obvious that money was the main motive in Eric's murder. He met with a divorce attorney and estate planner way back in October 2020 after he found out Richins had made some major financial decisions without his knowledge. Richins had a negative bank account balance and owed lenders more than $1.8 million.
She was also being sued by a creditor. This woman wanted to live big without the funds to back it up. According to the prosecution, Richins thought she would inherit Eric's estate under the terms of their prenup. She had also opened multiple life insurance policies on Eric without his knowledge. The benefits totaled nearly $2 million.
Richins is also accused of fraudulently claiming insurance benefits and forging loan applications after Eric's death. This woman is the definition of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. You know she planned all along to write that book and profit even more from Eric's death. And I'm sorry, but you don't open up a life insurance policy on your spouse or significant other without their knowledge unless you've got nefarious intentions.
And you
just my 2 cents.
And you can't. It's fraudulent. Like, you can't open an insurance policy on somebody else without their signature.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm really curious to know if there are versions in Google Docs somewhere of this children's book before he was even dead. That's all I'm saying.
Didn't even think about that, but you know what? It does take a while to write a book, so. Guess we'll see.
I don't understand what the defense could possibly have that would make the jury go, "Oh, okay, she's totally innocent," or there's not enough reasonable doubt to like say she's guilty of this. It just doesn't make any sense.
Be very interested to see how this goes.
And honestly, it wouldn't even matter if, say, the relationship was abusive or if there was something else going on behind the scenes that we get knowledge of during this trial. She still murdered him with poison. So there's no getting off from that.
And subsequently has been lying about it.
Uh-huh.
Because if, allegedly, don't come for me, if she did, she's not once said, oh, it was in self-defense because I'm a battered house. She never said anything like that. So there's no way that anything, so. I don't know.
I don't follow a lot of trials. It does. It smells. And I don't follow a lot of trials as they're going on currently, but I'm going to be following this one because,
I'll let you report back to me.
I will let you know.
It's been a minute since I've watched any of the singing competition shows. I can't even remember the last one that I've watched. It has been so long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really unfamiliar with the person of interest in this story. But if there are any American Idol stans that are listening, you might recognize this name. 39-year-old Caleb Flynn, who appeared on season 12 of American Idol in 2013, was arrested on Thursday, February 19th, 2026 in Tip City, Ohio, and charged with shooting and killing his wife.
According to AP News, he is also charged with staging the crime scene to mislead investigators. His wife, 37-year-old Ashley Flynn, was found dead on Monday, February 16th, after Flynn called 911 and told a dispatcher that someone had broken into his home and killed his wife while she was sleeping. Their 2 daughters were also asleep in the home at the time.
In the 911 call, Flynn said she was shot multiple times in the head, and he didn't know if the intruder was still there. He was in the home with their 2 children when officers arrived to investigate the scene. Ashley was a middle school volleyball coach and a substitute teacher.
Flynn's attorney, Patrick Mulligan, stated that he was, quote, disappointed and concerned about the short timeline and seeming rush to judgment in this case. When the government runs out of leads or can't develop leads and looks at a surviving spouse in cases such as these, the chance of a wrongful conviction increases, end quote.
Of course, the Tip City Police Chief, Greg Adkins, immediately responded defensively, saying they did not move fast. He went on to say, quote, rather, it has progressed at a pace dictated by a thorough and deliberate investigative process, end quote.
It had been, 2.5 days? According to the New York Post, Ashley was killed around 2:30 p.m. while Flynn and the children were home. There were signs of forced entry, and it was initially investigated as a suspected burglary gone wrong.
But now, cops are saying Flynn staged it to look like a home invasion burglary. Ashley was found with at least 1 gunshot wound to the head. 2 spent shells were on the floor.
Flynn pleaded not guilty to charges of murder, assault, and tampering with evidence. Judge Samuel Huffman set his bond at $2 million. During his arraignment, Flynn told the judge, quote, I just want to take care of my daughters. I'm not a risk, end quote.
These cases, they're always so... Of course, it was the spouse. It's always the spouse. But you and I both know we've covered our fair share where the spouse was wrongly talked about and they were not the culprit. So it's... Yes, it's more common than not to be the spouse, but that's not always the case. So it's...
I don't think you can rush to judgment that quickly. Unless there's a smoking gun.
And because this is so new, it's still so fresh, there's still so much we don't know. And this is why we typically don't talk about these current headlines, because there's so much open to speculation that
we could just sit here and say whatever we want. It doesn't make it true, but we don't have any more details about it.
And they're not going to release the answers to the questions we're looking for until the time is right. And there's no telling when that's going to be. It's just, this is also one of those cases that it goes to show, hey, it doesn't matter if you're a nobody. It doesn't matter if you're an American Idol contestant. You're not safe from the world of true crime.
No. I do think it's fishy that he was home at the time that this happened, but it doesn't mean he was even in the same part of the house and could have been off doing something else in the garage or a workshop or whatever. I don't know the layout of the house. And this happened. And then he comes in and finds her. We just don't know.
No,
but
there's so many unanswered questions.
Yeah. But the fact that it looks like a burglary gone wrong kind of reminded me of, I don't know why, but it reminded me of Ellen Greenberg in the sense that her case was immediately ruled a suicide, even though there was evidence of somebody breaking into the house, like into the apartment. So I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story.
Oh, 100%. We're just not going to know.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on this because I'm interested to see if they release any more information about what they have that makes them think it was him.
That's the thing. Why all of a sudden were they so quick to say that they have, what evidence do they have to say that definitively the scene was staged?
Yeah.
That's my main thing. Like, okay, what could possibly be so obvious that it was staged that they have? Like, I want to know that.
Unless like nothing was taken, like everything was messy and nothing was taken, but still.
That doesn't even know, because that person could have gotten, whoever was invading
and gotten spooked or
and ran without having to actually being able to grab anything. So
yeah, it's way too early to tell, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, he's absolutely guilty, because there's just not enough to say that.
Yep.
At this point, the whole case seems really fishy to me. I don't know. Okay, so our next headline comes from Florida and is honestly like so unnecessarily tragic, but needs to be talked about. So on Tuesday, February 10th, a murder-suicide that began in Fort Lauderdale and ended in Sarasota claimed the lives of 6 victims. The gunman then took his own life.
I wish we had more to share about the victims in this story, but this is a new and ongoing investigation. Here is what we do know. On February 10th, 51-year-old Russell Cott walked into 46-year-old Larissa Blydoy's house in Fort Lauderdale, and I apologize if I am not saying these names correctly, where he shot and killed Larissa and her 19-year-old son, Ben Azizov. Cott and Larissa had been in a relationship and living together until they broke things off at the end of 2025.
According to the Sarasota Police Department, Cott then drove more than 200 miles to Sarasota, where he stopped at Larissa's mother's house. Deputies are calling this the Fallcrest residence. The house is located in the Amberley subdivision in Sarasota, Florida.
Cott proceeded to kill Larissa's brother, Yaroslav Blydoy, and the housekeeper, Olga Greenert. He then sent what were described as suicidal text messages to members of his family while waiting for Florita Stoilar, Larissa and Yaroslav's mother, and her husband to return home.
When Florita and her husband Anatoly arrived home, they were both shot and killed by Cott before he shot himself. Each victim sustained multiple gunshot injuries, and crime scene analysts found more than 20 shell casings inside the house.
According to the Sarasota Sheriff's Office website, 2 handguns, ammunition, 5 knives, rope, tape, and an axe were located inside Cott's vehicle. This didn't include the 2 handguns found on him inside the Fallcrest residence.
According to detectives, Cott relocated from Illinois to Fort Lauderdale in the fall of 2025. He was living with Larissa until they separated at the end of 2025, but I'm not sure if he moved to Florida in order to live with Larissa, but my assumption is yes. Like maybe they were involved in a long-distance relationship and he decided to relocate to live with her, but that's not explicitly written anywhere that I've seen.
A look into Cott's cell phone records didn't reveal anything that may have triggered Cott to go on the shooting spree. There was evidence that he had previously either stayed at the Fallcrest residence or taken care of the family's animals in the months leading up to the shooting.
According to the Sarasota Sheriff's Office, Cott had met the housekeeper at the Fallcrest residence at least once. They are still trying to establish a motive for this horrendous crime, though I feel like it's pretty obvious what happened here.
I honestly don't even have words after this one.
It's just so sad and unnecessary. Like I don't understand. And this is one of those things that I've always been interested in looking into is the mental state of people who choose to take out a whole bunch of people with them.
And see, what it sounds like is it doesn't sound like this dude had a history of, like it didn't sound like he has a rap sheet or he has a history of, mental issues or instability or problems. He just seemed like a regular guy, like you or I. And that's something that I've talked with you about before is, we always focus on the victims in the cases that we talk about. But sometimes, the killer, whoever they were just a regular person and something happened, something changed and turned them into a killer. And that the scariest thing is that could happen to any of us. And so the psychology behind that is super interesting. Like why, what would drive a seemingly normal person to do something to that magnitude?
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that they're saying that there was no cell phone records or anything to indicate that like a conversation had taken place that maybe triggered it or something.
Right.
What could have happened is maybe something happened in another aspect of his life that was a result of this relationship ending or something to that effect. And so he was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm over it. And I'm taking them all out with me.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like January, if one more thing had happened in January, I could have been featured on an episode. So like, I'm just saying. Oy,
there's
so sad.
It's so sad. And there's no way that you can justify anything like this at all. And it's really sad that it ended this way and now he's gone and you can't get answers from him either.
Nope. Yeah. That's one of the most frustrating aspects about it because he's the only person that you really could get those unanswered questions answered from.
So I hope that family can find some peace and answers along the way and
closure
figure out a way to move forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, we are really loving that so many cold cases have been solved thanks to new strides in DNA technology. One of the latest cases to be solved is that of 13-year-old Sarah Geer, who was killed in May 1982 in Cloverdale, California.
According to sfgate.com, Sarah spent the weekend at a friend's house but never returned home when she was supposed to. The friend's parents dropped Sarah off at home, but instead of going inside, she walked to an arcade on Cloverdale Boulevard. This was the last place she was seen alive.
Sarah's body was found the next day, partly covered under a fence with her shoes lined up at the end of the alley. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled to death. Her case remained unsolved for decades due to limited forensic technology.
In 2003, 21 years after her murder, a criminalist working for the California Department of Justice created a DNA profile of a potential suspect by using sperm from Sarah's clothes. Unfortunately, the DNA wasn't a match for anyone in law enforcement databases at that time. Another breakthrough wasn't made until almost 20 years later in 2021.
By this point, genealogical databases had been used in multiple cold cases to narrow down suspects and solve long, cold crimes. Well, the FBI analyzed the same DNA sample using these databases and narrowed the suspect pool down to one of 4 brothers. The suspect's name? James Unick.
Investigators began surveying Unick and eventually collected a discarded cigarette he had smoked. The DNA from the cigarette butt matched that DNA sample from 2003 and the clothes Sarah was wearing the night she died.
Unick was arrested in 2024 at the age of 65 and held without bail at the Sonoma County Jail leading up to his trial. His charges included murder, rape, kidnapping, and forcible lewd acts with a minor under 14. During the trial, a jury listened to testimony from the friends who last saw Sarah alive.
Could you imagine being Sarah's friend and testifying in her trial 44 years later?
Better late than never.
I know. I mean,
the
justice those women must have felt after all this time, being able to finally stand up to this man is just so cool. Okay, but get this. Unick told the jury that he had consensual sex with Sarah that night near the Russian River and suggested that someone else must have murdered her. He said he was playing games at the Cloverdale arcade that Sarah had walked to, and she, quote, propositioned him for sex, end quote. You have to be kidding me. Yeah, Amber's face says it all. Yeah.
She was 13.
She can't
There's
have
no-
consensual sex at 13.
It will come as no surprise that the jury didn't buy his story and found him guilty after just 2 hours of deliberation. Unick is set to be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And good for you.
How many other girls did he do this to?
He's already 65. He had 40 years to walk around. Exactly my point that I was going to make. How many other people did he get away with this? Because, he got away with it once. It could have been a one and done. And he's like, all right, I got that out of my system. I'm going to go on the straight and narrow now. But that doesn't track
That's
typically.
not how those people work.
It's not how, if you're capable of doing that to begin with, that's not typically, I don't. But hey, at least he's done. He's done now.
I'm hoping that him being put behind bars for this crime might shed light on some other unsolved crimes, whether those are murders or sexual assaults that were never solved.
I mean, with the DNA, maybe he got smarter with the DNA. I don't know. But my God, my daughter is 13. No.
To say for this man, after all this time, to still sit there and say that she propositioned him and it was consensual. Are you kidding me?
Okay, dude.
Rot in prison. Okay, so this last one, I'm pretty sure everyone in the world with a TV or a smartphone is aware of the Nancy Guthrie case that's been unfolding since the 84-year-old went missing from her home in Tucson, Arizona. She was last seen on the evening of January 31st when her family took her home after dinner.
Nancy Guthrie is the mother of the well-known Today Show anchor, Savannah Guthrie. Nancy has limited mobility and would not have been able to leave home unassisted, which leads investigators to believe she was taken against her will.
We could sit here for hours and talk about this case, and there are tons of people that have. But here are the high-level facts and where the investigation stands now. Traces of blood found on the front porch of the home have been confirmed to come from Nancy.
2 ransom notes have come to light since her kidnapping. Both of them were initially delivered to news media outlets, and no known direct contact has been made between the suspects and the Guthrie family. The family has been ruled out as suspects.
The latest break in the case includes a discarded glove found in a field along the roadside about 2 miles from Nancy's home. The glove resembled a pair worn by an armed man in a ski mask seen on doorbell camera footage at the Guthrie home. The man was trying to disable the camera in the early morning hours of February 1st, shortly before she was abducted.
According to Reuters, a DNA sample was retrieved from the glove. Investigators hoped this sample would produce a hit when submitted for comparison in CODIS, the Combined DNA Index System. Unfortunately, it failed to match any genetic profile in the database.
Obviously, this is a major setback in the investigation. Sheriff Chris Nanos believes the man in the video is more than likely the perpetrator of the abduction and is their primary suspect. The man was also wearing an overstuffed backpack and a handgun in a holster.
Additional DNA evidence found at the Guthrie home is still being analyzed. Investigators are even working with managers of multiple Walmart stores to try to pinpoint the person who purchased the backpack seen in the doorbell camera footage.
Philip Martin, the co-owner of a gun store in Tucson, told Reuters that an FBI agent visited his shop with a list of around 20 potential customers, asking if any of them had purchased a weapon at a store. Unfortunately, none of the potential customers had bought a gun from that store.
The customer list being shown to gun stores was developed by cross-referencing backpack and holster purchases, along with the other data points. The Tucson Sheriff's Department has also been using a signal sniffer technology that produces a heat map to identify potential search targets within a specific area. The system is being used by search teams operating by helicopter, ground vehicles, and on foot.
Nancy has been missing for 22 days as of the recording of this episode. Her family members described her as being in frail health. She has a pacemaker and medication she needs to take daily to survive. Sheriff Nanos told Reuters that while no proof of life has surfaced since Nancy's abduction, there hasn't been any proof of death either.
To me, this case is This is one of those that make me question, is this real life?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just sounds crazy.
It does sound crazy. And I have thoughts. I almost don't want to voice them because they're just so, I wouldn't say conspiracy theory-ish, but it's like, why her? Why target her? Is it because of who her family is specifically?
I don't even know who her family is.
Savannah Guthrie is a very, very famous journalist that's been on NBC News for years.
I will take your word for it, but I have no firsthand knowledge of that, you know? Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's just, she's not, so, I mean, she is super well known for a lot of people, but I don't know
why that would make her a target for something like this.
That's my point.
Yeah. It's just very weird. And it was obviously very much planned ahead. They knew exactly what they were doing. The doorbell camera footage is terrifying of this man in a ski mask and all this tactical gear, like going into her home.
You know, kidnappings are always terrifying, but whenever you have the elderly involved, it's just heartbreaking.
I'm very concerned at this point that they are not going to get the outlook or like the
outcome that they want.
Yeah, the outcome that they're hoping for, especially given that she is in poor health and she's on medications that she has to take every day and she has a pacemaker. Yeah, I just hope they get answers soon and this doesn't go on for months and months and months.
Oh, for sure. It's heartbreaking.
It really is.
Well, that sums up the true crime headlines from this past week that really stood out to us. If you want us to do more current headlines, let us know. Or if you want us to do a deep dive on any of these stories, please let us know by contacting us on our website at weirdtruecrime.com or sending us a DM on Instagram or TikTok at weirdtruecrime.
Hell, you can even send us an email at weirdtruecrime@gmail.com. Honestly, I already know I'll be doing a deep dive on the Kouri Richins case because that chick is nuts. Yeah. And we also still owe y'all coverage on the yogurt shop murders case. It's completely my fault. We haven't covered it yet. I've been hoping to get in contact with some locals with ties to the case. So for now, it's sitting in the Google Drive.
Seriously, cannot wait to deep dive on the yogurt shop case. Like, that's being a local in Austin, that's something that's just, it's always there in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Also, if we seemed a little excitable or off or just a tad strange in any way today, it's because we literally found out this morning that we have officially gotten a table at Podcast Row at CrimeCon this year. So come and see us in Vegas at Caesar's Palace from May 29th through the 31st.
Huge things are happening for our little podcast, and we can't wait until we can share it all with you. Come back next week for another What the Fuck Wednesday. Until next time, stay safe.
And make good choices. Bye.
Bye.